Here it is, the new Assetto Corsa Rally Update 0.3. It's just dropped. You can download it and update your game yourself. In this video, I'm going to give it a first impressions. I'm going to tell you what's changed, what's the same, what to expect. Before we get driving and talk and inevitably drive off a cliff face, click the subscribe button so you can then unsubscribe when you disagree with what I say. And if you enjoy the content and stuff we do, clicking the like button is also a great help. So, let's get on with this stage and let's talk about what's changed, what's good and what's bad. Here we go. We are on one of the new stages, two new stages, one new location, and it is, as you can see here, a rather glorious Monaco.
And 5 left, 40.
We say Monaco, it is Monte Carlo. I always get mixed up. It is a glorious Monte Carlo, and if you're going to say anything about Assetto Corsa Rally, you have to say the stages look absolutely bloody fantastic. Like the attention to detail, the road undulations, the texture work, the objects at the side of the stages. These are real-world stage locations, supposedly laser scanned, but just incredibly detailed, and you can really appreciate driving around these roads all the little nuances that go to making a rally game actually exciting and fun to drive. You need those road details, and Assetto Corsa Rally absolutely excels in those details. This new location is no exception. Of course, more importantly than the laser scanned road and the stage details is the 3D trees and the grass. Sadly, the Monte Carlo Rally is lacking in grass, but it makes up for it a bit with trees and stones. Not the same as a lot of grass, but you know what I mean. It does look really nice, and when you come around the corner and you can see into the valleys, the trees in the distance, the hills in the distance, absolutely phenomenal. But I would recommend actually concentrating on the road more than the view. You might want to stop and have a look at the view though. I'd highly recommend driving around these stages slowly and just taking them in. Look at those power cables as well. Proper French power cables. So the stages look absolutely fantastic, and it's really great to have new stages to learn and enjoy. In terms of the handling and the force feedback, what I will say, this Skoda, which is one of the new cars, it's a 2022 Skoda, this is actually probably one of the more forgiving cars to drive in AC Rally. To me, this drives a lot better than some of the other cars. A lot more predictable, still mega grippy, still a bit like unhinged when you go over the limit more and you get a bit out of control, but a little bit happier at doing handbrake turns like that one there, and a little bit less sort of on rails when you go over the limit. So generally a bit more forgiving to handle, and as a result a bit more fun. We drove some of the other previous vehicles on this stage and it felt like they were a bit of a chore to drive. I just wanted to give the marshal a scare there. Now, I will say, and as you can see there, I am still finding this game a bit of a struggle when it comes to handbrake turns and sort of more aggressive driving. When you've got the car in more aggressive slip, it doesn't have that poise and balance and satisfaction that I used to get, or do still get, from Richard Burns Rally. Like the handling is still very finicky, especially when you actually go over the limit and you drive more aggressively. Even with this car, which is probably a bit more easier to drive than some of the other cars. What doesn't help as well is that the force feedback is still incredibly lacking in detail for the sort of subtle tyre grip for where the tyres are actually at and where they are on the limit. You have very good self-aligning for the overall rear coming out, and good sort of strong tugs and force for when you go over big bumps or you drive into a wall or something. Probably a bit over the top actually, but not very good details for what you actually need in a driving game. It's got very similar problems in its force feedback to ACC and Le Mans Ultimate. It seems like these newer tyre models for some reason are just not conducive to detailed force feedback. With these being rally cars, though, and generally much more controllable vehicles, it's not necessarily going to get in the way of you being able to drive and still have a fun time, but it certainly makes driving a lot harder and a lot less intuitive. So, doesn't seem like much has happened in that regard. Oh, we just locked up and driven straight into the wall. So, if you're expecting drastic changes in the force feedback and physics, then you're going to be a little bit disappointed with this update. I would like to see quite drastic changes, but I don't think they will. I've lost all hope in sim racing when it comes to detailed force feedback and actual controllable cars. So, the other thing that's worth mentioning, though, as with the previous versions, the actual car model, absolutely superb. If you look at the cars in the garage and with the car settings and stuff, and you just look at a 3D model, absolutely cracking attention to detail on the car models. The audio I find super immersive, really nice and detailed, get a good sense of speed and goings on with the vehicle, the transmission whine, all that stuff. Really, really nice. So absolutely love that, and I think for a 2D game, quite an immersive experience. I know you can like sort of inject a bit of VR into this, but you know, at the moment this is really a 2D game. Really quite immersive. Graphics wise as well, a lot of people will be wondering if the performance of the game has changed, because in the previous version there were quite a few issues with micro stutter and performance. Now it seems to me the game is generally running smoother for me now than it was previously, but I think most of that has come from just NVIDIA driver updates. I think that prior to this update coming out, we got the last version of the game to actually run a lot better. Though there still are moments where you come around a corner and you get like that sort of rando frame rate drop and stutter issue. So even though for me on my system with my budget 5090 and 9950X3D, which is, you know, a very accessible system, even though for me it runs really quite smooth for the most part, we're still getting the sort of typical Unreal Engine stutter stuff happening. So they think they still need to resolve that, but for the most part it's really drivable. It'll be very interesting to see performance wise what it's like on lower end systems. Weirdly, I managed to get this to run really well, the old version, not this update, not tried it yet with this update, but I got the old version of AC Rally to run quite well on the Steam Deck. So I think it's just a game that's really quite sensitive to CPUs, drivers and all those kind of things. Good old Unreal 5 engine, don't you love it? You miss the days where a game just ran smooth on everything. Those days have gone, guys. Those days have gone. What I do love, actually, with this Monte Carlo stage as well, and you notice this, maybe because it is laser scanned, I do love like the different areas and the different style of the graphics and the different parts of the stages. So you'd really notice the road changing and the type of road, and even though it's all the same location, you really feel like you're going on an adventure through this environment. And weirdly, that actually makes it easier for me to remember where we are on a stage once you've done a recce and what's going on, because the corners are all sort of individually identifiable. Nice little bridge there. Another thing that's worth pointing out with this stage is the spectators. I'm really liking this game, how the spectators are sort of positioned and the way they're sort of naturally there and moving about a bit. And as you whiz past them, there's a flag, Italian flag. It really makes it feel like the stages are quite nice and alive, which has been something that's quite lacking from rally games in the past. Hotel restaurant, can I stop for a cup of tea, please? Look at this, nice little section here. Try and hold it. See, I've intentionally threw the back out there. And I'm sure you can catch it, I'm sure you can hold it, but I wasn't going to be able to do that without rote memorising it. If that was Richard Burns Rally, AC1, Live for Speed, a whole host of other games, we would have just held that drift and it wouldn't be an issue. So, as I say, I still think there's quite severe issues with look all these spectators on the wall. Their legs are at risk of falling off whilst I drive past. Yeah, there's still
3 right
a
tightens,
lot I think
40.
they need to do with the physics and force feedback in this game to make it actually feel really natural to drive. Not to say, to be clear, I think a lot of people can have a really good fun time driving this. But, you know, obviously they're marketing this as a super duper hardcore sim, and therefore I think they have to try and that it needs to have that natural handling. And there we go, we've lost the rear again. And it just gets stuck. And this is following on from the previous. They did an update for the previous version, the previous one, and they've even dialed it down in this to make it even more controllable. But right, there we go, dead. I've lost my mojo, guys. Incidentally, it is the downhill section, and this the sim is really sensitive to when you're in the downhill section, to that then causing the wheels to lock up and you get stuck in slides, with the back wanting to come around. Obviously, you would expect downhill sections to make the car behave differently, so that's an indication of deep physics in a sense, but it's quite interesting how sensitive the vehicles are to that in this sim, and how hard it is to then control the rear when you're in those states. Before we get to the end of this stage, we will have to say and point out there is a very advanced weather system supposedly under the hood. I'm not even making these corners. Advanced weather system under the hood that brings with it sort of dynamic stage weather, where different parts of the stages could have different weather on them depending on the session that you're in. So you might do a stage at one time and it's snowy in one place and not in another, or vice versa, or wet in one place and not in another. So that could help if you're doing racing or rally stages and events with people. That sort of dynamic stage aspect could really help keep things a little bit more interesting and spice things up, so it's not always exactly the same rally stage that you're driving. Like, the layout will be the same, but you might have to be more cautious or less cautious and risk it for a biscuit, and that could get a little bit more replayability out of the stages for people. Now, here we go. Look, I'm dialing it down a bit here, taking it easy, and he says going full speed here. As I say, downhill sections, you really do have to be cautious. I would also say as well, they still have the thing with the suspension where larger bumps really do massively unsettle the car, and the car doesn't just ride over them. Some bumps, it seems like the cars actually deal with them quite well, but you'll see what I mean. Especially on the Monte Carlo stage, there's times where a bump completely unsettles the car and there's not really much you can do with it. Even if you run different setups with like softer suspension, it's very prone to the vehicles being massively unsettled by sharp bumps in the road surface. Here we go, look at that. Monte Carlo, absolutely nailed it. We still got 4 wheels. But yeah, beautiful stage. Really nice for them to keep updating this, as you'd expect from an early access title. I would love to still see, though, improvements in the physics so that the cars are more drivable over the limit. I'd really like to see actual detail in the force feedback for the subtle slip of the tyres. Stuff, as I say, that's been in Live for Speed, Richard Burns Rally, AC1, that's lacking in all modern sims for some reason. I don't know what's going on. And, of course, more stages and more things to do always a good thing. Is this worth getting in its early access stage? Is a question we always get asked. I would say for the price that you pay for this, I've already got my value out of it. Although I didn't buy it, I got a press version. But if I had bought it, I would have got my value out of it. It's really fun just driving the stages, the different vehicles. It's fun to drive. We need more rally games. And I think if you like rally games, you'll enjoy driving this. But if you want a polished, finished game, it's got a long way to go until it's a polished, finished game. It's very much early access. So there you go. Great update by Supernova Games. And we will live stream. We're probably already live when you see this video, and probably complain about driving into trees whilst live streaming. But hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully I gave you all the information that you were sort of looking for in a quick format. Till the next one, thanks for watching. Happy tea drinking. Take care, and goodbye.